So Tater, you're
Sean.
in Virginia.
Yes.
But you go by Tater.
Well, so I've been called Tater a long time, and so I've just kind of leaned into it. But I like
Okay.
Sean. Sean's a great. I like my name.
And you're based in Virginia, right?
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. And Andrew, where are you based in?
Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, okay, cool.
And where are you?
Cool. I'm in Orlando.
Oh.
Oh, lucky.
So a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Northern California, like San Francisco Bay Area. And then 2 years ago, my wife moved out here to work at Disney. And then a year after she moved out here, I moved in with her. So we've been here about a year now.
That's so cool. You're probably
Hey,
going
Karen.
to say that again. Hey, Karen. Karen's the best. Karen's here every week, and we adore her. Also, but really, I mean, I think everyone that ends up in the chat here is WDW folks. Sometimes different little friends here and there will stop by. So
yeah, we're all alumni of Lou.
Right. The best.
Well, cool. Then I'm going to start, and we'll start chatting so we don't lose any of this podcast gold here. Hey, and welcome to the But Mostly Disney podcast. I'm Tater, and I'm here with my buddy Andrew.
Good evening, everybody.
And this week, we're really excited. So to have another Momentum alumni with us, Dr. Stephen Cabebe, who's going to tell us how to get our feet right and get ready for those 25,000 steps a day that we do.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate that.
So I met Stephen at Momentum, and he's really fascinating. I have bad shoulders, which he did ask me about, but I've never really opened up. We keep threatening to talk about it. But he has not only written a book, but has a course. And then, look, I say each week that Andrew's YouTube channel, Mouse Gears, which is Cars and Disney, is a perfect name, but Happily Ever Active, it might be the best. It's a great.
I think he's got me now.
Yeah, it's really good. But yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, Stephen. Or should I call you Doctor or Mr.
Oh, I'd go by Stephen. Stephen's totally cool. Yep. So my name is Stephen. I am a physical therapist by trade, but Disney lover, Disney aficionado. Born and raised in California, so Disneyland is my home park. I absolutely love Disneyland, but more recently moved out to Orlando to be closer to Disney World. But my whole thing with what I'm doing is the more I've gone to Disney World, the more I hear stories about how people end their trips feeling, painful feet, painful back, completely exhausted. And then, the first time I went to Disney World just a few years ago as an adult, I ended up in the same situation. So the whole, by the end of the week, I was completely exhausted, falling asleep on Carousel of Progress. And after that trip, I was like, okay, I need to shape up. I need to make sure that I'm physically fit and well enough so that I don't have to worry about those issues at my next Disney trip. So I used my knowledge as a physical therapist, combined that with my love for Disney, and I created a process on how to physically prep for Disney so you don't have to worry about having a painful vacation.
And it's something I hadn't even thought about, but I mean, obviously, we're in Virginia, and we, up until this past year when I started doing the YouTube stuff, as a family, we go once a year. And so it's 5 days of intensive, commando style park. We got to get our money's worth. We're going to do every single thing. We're going to go. To be fair, we started when the kids were real little. So we did kind of always adopt a early morning, take a break and come back at night kind of thing. But that was in the days where the parks were open until 2 a.m. sometimes, 1 a.m, where, 20,000 steps was nothing for us. So I think I just posted last week a great picture of the kids asleep on the monorail or, on the shoulders, so then I'm working for 2. And I was much younger then, right? 18 years ago. But now when I go, if I do, something for the YouTube channel for a festival, dude, it's 2 laps, right? I mean, easy by myself.
Easy.
That's a lot of
easy. And 1 lap is like about a mile. So 2 laps, at least 2 miles. And then that's just World Showcase, man.
And look, I know it's hard to tell from this fantastic physique, but I don't I don't really go to the gym much. Um, Golf is about the only exercise I really sink my teeth in, though I've got to change because I can feel myself getting weak as I get older. Starting to.
I mean, I could tell you straight away, you don't have to feel like you need to go to the gym just to start preparing, right? There are ways to start start prepping your body to get ready for Disney without feeling like you need to get into a crazy gym routine. So, that should be good news for you and for a lot of other people out there.
All right, so I'm going in a month. So what's something I should start? Because when I get done a park day and I used to have a bag on my back, my lower back is killing me. And then, I've gotten to where I don't people watch anymore. I shoe watch. What is this person wearing for shoes? What's that person wearing for shoes? What's everybody wearing?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, shoes are definitely a good place to start. Getting a pair of comfortable shoes. Now, the one thing I would say about that, Andrew, is everyone's feet are different. So just because someone's wearing a pair of Nikes or a pair of On Clouds doesn't necessarily mean that that pair of shoes is perfect for you, right? But there's some specific criteria that can help you find the right pair of shoes for you. But with that said, the one thing that you could start at least doing if you've got your trip in about a month is to start working on a progressive walking program. That's like the biggest low hanging fruit is Sean, you mentioned it earlier, 20,000 steps easy in a day.
Mm-hmm.
So really just start by the process to start a walking program usually goes, okay, let's see how much walking you're doing on average in a week. Take that average number and then work on progressing how many steps you're doing every week until your Disney trip. And
Gotcha.
the amount of steps you increase per week depends on, how much activity you're doing every day, how much walking you're already doing every day. So, for example, if you're not as active, you have a sitting job, you're not really on your feet all day, and you're walking maybe let's say 3,000 to 4,000 steps a day, which is like the average amount of steps per day that the American gets. So you wanna start by increasing your daily step count by around 15 to 20% per week. Um, that makes sure that you can increase your steps by a good amount without making you too sore and have a difficult time recovering from that, right?
Gotcha.
But on the other hand, if you are more active, if you're on your feet all day because you've got a more physical job, um, you want to increase your daily step count by maybe closer to like 10%. So instead of a bigger percent of increase in steps, you want to do a smaller percent increase in steps. And that's because you're already starting at an activity level and a fitness level that's already high. So if you took a 10% of how much activity you're already doing, if you're already doing an activity level that's really high, that 10% could mean a big increase over time, right? If you're doing not as much activity, then you want to do a bigger percent increase over time because you're starting at a lower level. You want to increase by
Right.
a bigger amount. I don't know.
Okay.
Does that
That
make
makes sense.
sense?
No, it makes real good. Yeah. It makes sense.
But
I had
Got
that's
some
one of the
walking
biggest things,
ahead.
especially if you're a month out or if you're more than a month out. Starting that walking program, that's the biggest thing for sure.
It's
Gotcha.
it's interesting you say that because I still bartend part time. I've been at the place I'm at for like 21 years, and so if we like the last couple of weeks we haven't had any shows because it's a music venue, so I've been off and I can feel the difference in losing those steps. Call it 3 days a week, right? Like, and it's not vigorous walking, right? It's just moving back and forth, sometimes faster than others, but I can feel the difference in probably call it a 20% reduction in how much I walk, right? Like you don't think about it, but adding a
Right.
little that 10% on is going to make a big difference when you're doing it. Now we typically try to do park day off, but I'm going next week and for a short trip, so it's Monday, Tuesday, so it'll be 2 cram days of
Mm-hmm.
walk. But that's interesting. Okay, so that would lead us into Karen's doing it for me. So Karen loves Crocs, right? And I saw on your Now, I've never worn Crocs in the park, and you're going to hate me when I say this out loud, probably. But, and I do have a pair of those Millennium Falcon Ultra Boosts because I saw you recommended some Adidas on your site the other day, and those
I
might
love
be
those
the
shoes.
most comfortable shoes I've ever worn in my entire life. Like they're incredible. However, typically I'm in flip flops in the park, and I don't normally have a lot of problems with it. Like it seems to work okay for my feet. Is that normal? Am I weird? Is there something freaky about me? Is that, or do you walk through the park and see people in terrible flip flops and go, oh God, just hand your card out because they're going to come see you like in an hour and a half?
Yeah, good question. I mean, that's one of the more unique things about the human body, right? Everyone is built different. Everyone's got different feet, like I said earlier. So not just because a pair of shoes or a pair of flip flops works great for one person doesn't mean it works really well for you. Um, I, as a physical therapist, it's really easy for me to see what people wear in terms of shoes and be like, "Ooh, I don't know if that's comfortable for them." And it's a I want to stop myself from jumping to conclusions because it might actually be comfortable for them because it fits them well. They've been using it for a while. It works for their feet. So, if you've been doing well with flip flops in the park, that's perfectly okay. Like that's not an issue.
Okay.
The other thing is, some of these people, they're in the park from rope drop till park close or after park close because they stay an hour after the park closes, and that could also make a big difference, right? Being in the park with flip-flops for 6 hours, 8 hours could be a lot different from being in the park with flip-flops for 14 or 16 hours, right? Those that difference in time makes a huge difference in how you feel.
It's interesting. Like I find this fascinating. So even the flip flops, like so, I love Olukais, and I love them. My buddy across the street, Gary, his doctor actually prescribed them to him because he had kind of a weird arch, and so his podiatrist told him to wear them. I'm diabetic too, so I have to keep an eye on my feet, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I was going to bed at night and it was a long time ago, and my feet were getting tingly at night, and I'm like, oh man, and it's a progressive disease, but I'm taking my medicine. I don't always eat the way I'm supposed to, so I was really nervous. But it turned out it was the flip flops, and it was a particular model of Olukais that had a really high arch on them and was cutting off the circulation to my feet.
uh
So even from brand to brand, even within the brand, rather, pretty
right.
wild to have that big of a difference in a shoe. It's kind of crazy. And
Yeah.
then, and this is weird and a little, well, I guess it's on topic. So this is our 19th year going to Disney in a row. Never a problem. I wore a couple different types of flip flops. My feet were always fine. My legs were always fine. Vegas, on the other hand, in the exact same shoes, killed my shin splints. Like it was terrible. Same amount of walking, but I don't know. There's something different about Vegas concrete. I swear, and I know that sounds weird, but I'm telling you, there's something different. Like maybe there's more moisture in Florida, so it's spongier, or they used a softer rock. I don't know, but it was very very different. Like I have to wear shoes in Vegas. I can't wear flip flops out there.
Was it more than just the terrain? Was like, what were you going up and down stairs more,
No,
or no? It's just
I mean,
that's
I mean,
interesting.
it was all flat. So I mean, just walking down the sidewalks up, the whole strip, up and back and forth, and we do 10 times that in Disney,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and so it was very odd. But something out there was different. I don't know what. It's like kind of a Leonard Nimoy in search of moment where someone will come up with it one day. Well, the Atlantans built Vegas, and they built it with a certain type of rock. It
Hey,
was
that's a good question to just throw out, to
right.
listeners and see like, have you noticed a difference too? Because that's something that I'd be interested in looking into for sure.
It was weird, and it's anecdotal, right? I don't. It's not scientific, but it was kind of fascinating to me. All right, so what's next? We've got shoes, and we've increased our steps by 10%. What are we doing next?
So we talked about progressive walking program, something that goes really well hand in hand with a progressive walking program. If you've got a month to prep yourself for Disney, learning how to listen to your body and hone in on how your body feels from day to day is very, very important. Um, because it allows you to figure out whether or not how you feel can dictate, you know, you, it can dictate whether or not you can do more steps on your next day in the park, or if you need to take extra rest breaks, or if you need to take more of a rest day, if you have that flexibility. So personally, what I like to use to help listen to your body is a system called what's the light system. The light system, if you think about it, just think about a signal light. You've got three colors, right? Red, yellow, green. Um, so it's really easy to implement. It's really easy to picture. Um, really, what with the light system, you ideally want to be in the green light. So the green light is, for example, let's say you're doing a full day of walking at Magic Kingdom and you go to sleep that night and you wake up in the morning and you're feeling good, you're not feeling sore, you're not feeling exhausted, you're not feeling any pain. That's what's called the green light. And what that means is, okay, you can go into your next park day, no issues. You can walk as much as you want. You can maybe even walk a little bit more depending on how you feel. Now, if you wake up after that day in Magic Kingdom and you feel a little bit of soreness or a little bit of discomfort, but it's tolerable, it's something you can walk through, and maybe it even goes away after a couple of hours of getting a warm up and walking. Okay, cool. So let's walk maybe the same amount of steps that you did the day previous, or maybe walk a little bit less just to be a little conservative and make sure that you got energy in the tank for the rest of the day and the rest of your trip, right? So that's the yellow light. Now, the red light is something that ideally you don't want to fall into. And this is the reason why you want to practice using this system as you prepare for your Disney trip. So the red light is you wake up after that day at Magic Kingdom and you feel sore, you feel maybe some discomfort or maybe some pain, and you get up out of bed and you have trouble walking. That discomfort is stopping you from being able to walk longer distances. You have trouble just even walking down the stairs or getting out of bed, out of your hotel room. That tells you, okay, you got to take either a lot more rest breaks throughout the day, or you should take a rest day. Take it a lot easier so you can let your body recover. So if you learn that system, that light system, you can implement that simultaneously with your walking program, and that'll tell you, okay, I walked 5,000 steps today, and I'm feeling good the next day. I'm in the green light. Okay, I can do the same thing again the next day. Or I walked 5,000 steps one day and I wake up the next morning and I feel some soreness and I can work through it. Okay, let's do again 5,000 steps the next day, or maybe a little bit less just to be conservative. But if you wake up after that 5,000 steps day and you're in the red light, you're feeling extra sore, you're having trouble walking, um, then that tells you, okay, you got to back it off a lot more, maybe even take a break.
Yeah, I mean that makes perfect sense. It's interesting, and as I'm thinking about it now, and Karen, Karen's saying here too that the park days have changed, and I think when you end up being a Disney lifer, like I think most of us are, your trips do end up changing. That was, I think I've said it before, but the one thing I was kind of worried about trying to, go to Lou and make my business my passion, right? Is gosh,
Mm-hmm.
is it gonna be work now? Is it gonna be, but it's not. It's a different trip. So I'm still excited to go with my family, and I'm still excited to do the week-long trip and do it like we've always done it. But if the way I'm going now, I probably walk more because I'm not really much of a planner guy. So I'll be in Germany and remember I needed to do something in Canada. So now I got to go back around the park and then back over to try to, do all these things that if I just storyboarded or did something, but that would ruin the magic, right? Part of my charm is that serendipity takes over and we hope it works out really well. But um, you know that that level of walking, it really does change, and I hadn't thought about, because the other thing for me it could do is create a better habit at home, right? My wife's constantly, let's go for a walk, come with me, and I'm like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, and I am definitely a creature of habit. Once I get going, um like my wife has said, this whole podcasting YouTube thing is probably the most consistent thing I've ever done, right? Like I schedule it out, I get up in the early in the morning, I do these, I'm doing that. But what I'm not doing is taking care of my physical self, right? Like I don't have those habits. And life's busy. I mean, it's tough. It's tough for me to find an hour to walk or even a half an hour. But I've got a dog and she needs to walk. So thinking about that to make my Disney game better might really put me in a great spot for actually adding a little activity onto my life.
I mean, Sean, for you, if you've ever read Atomic Habits, I think it's by James Clear.
No.
It's a great book. Highly recommend it. But he talks about in that book, I forget exactly what he calls it, but he pairs a habit that you want to form with something that you do every day. So, for example, you could pair getting up and brushing your teeth with going for a 15-minute walk right after. Or for the case with you, maybe 15 minutes or 30 minutes before you get ready to record for a podcast, you go for a walk, and it doesn't have to be an hour long. It could be, whatever you feel most comfortable with or works best with your schedule. As long as you pair them together, that makes it a little easier for you to digest and get it into your schedule.
And that's what I need. I just bought it. And that's what I need. I got to do things while I'm thinking about them, or they'll be gone forever.
Oh,
That's
100%.
that's one of the things that I need. I need cheats, right? I'm just that kind of guy. Like what I don't do it now. I've actually gotten better at it, but I used to always. I would never spend dollar bills. So no matter where I was, and now we don't do cash like we used to, but I've always been in the restaurant business, so I've always had lots of cash on me. I would not spend dollar bills, and then I would not spend $5 bills. I would just shove them all in my dresser drawer because it was such a cheat code for me to save money. It's a little thing, you don't really notice it, and something like that would be really great for me, especially for the physical activity. Because when I go to my pain doctor and stuff, they're just like, "Hey, what'd you do this week?" And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know." I don't want to lie to them, but they and so they're always nagging me as well. And my wife's great. I can't argue with her. She just wants me to live longer, because she's she's way better than me, and she's definitely going to outlive me, and she won't like that.
I mean,
I know
that's
for me,
another thing too. Oh, go ahead, Jade. Go ahead, Andrew.
I just was saying, I know for me, I'm the opposite. I sit at a desk all day. So when we go down to Florida and I'm walking and walking and walking, I really don't have any problems. I'm surprised because I need to do that. I need to pair something with a 15, 20-minute walk at work, just walk around the property. But I'm just very surprised when we go down there. I don't have more problems walking than I do. It's most of the time it's just because I know I'm out of shape. I've got to do better, but that's about it.
I mean, you could be just subconsciously listening to your body and knowing when you need to slow down or when you need to stop for a little bit. You know, who
Yeah.
knows? But that's awesome, man. That's really awesome.
Now, how often do you go to the parks? Do you go over? Do you have an annual pass? Do you go over a lot?
I do have an annual pass. I go. It's been a little bit less than the last month. Maybe we go like once every other week or something like that. It's still often enough. I cannot complain, guys. I
Right.
cannot I cannot complain. But one thing I do love about where I work, so my day job, I'm a physical therapist, and I don't work very far from Disney property. It's really easy for me to get off work and go straight to property in like 15, 20 minutes. So I really love going on property and going to one of the resort hotels and just taking out my laptop and working on podcast or writing or what have you.
Oh, that's so cool. That is one thing I have noticed, um, because so I'm going down about once a month, right? Which is I'm so grateful for. It's awesome. But my wife and I went down and we did 2 days with no attractions. We did Animal Kingdom and Epcot without going on any rides at all. And it was two of the greatest days I've ever had at Disney. And I was thinking to myself that if I lived here, and that is our plan, but we have 4 or 5 more years before we can move there. But the coolest thing is like I could come over here at 3 o'clock and just take a walk, and I would, right? Like I actually would maybe get a little treat at the end because I like, you know, I'm sure nutrition doesn't play into this in any way at all. And all Disney food is made for
Carb
burning
free.
calories, right? Yeah,
The
carb
temptation
free.
is there, man.
That's right. But I think something like that I really would walk more if I had a more motivating spot. And we live at the beach. I mean, we have a beach. We could do all kinds of things that I don't do. But when you're passionate about something, when you have one of those habits in place, oh, let's go take a walk and, maybe grab a bite or something like that would just be so cool.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, we talked about it on Momentum. If you figure out your why and your passion, why you want to do this, whether it's, oh, I don't want pain at Disney, or I want to be able to make those memories with my kids, or, whatever it is, as long as it's your why, that's what matters the most. And that's what'll fuel you to be able to do this.
And so married to a Disney addict, which if you've not, he should be at Momentum too, Matthew and his wife. But if you haven't listened to their podcast, it's really good and they're great people.
But, I think I listened to him with Luke, because I think he was on Lou's podcast not too long ago. So yes, I've definitely heard him before. He's awesome.
But yeah, 30,000 steps and then climbing into that bed. Now we had Stacy from Disney Hotel Lady on, and we were talking about next week I'm staying at All Star Music because I've got to cut costs at some point in time. But the one thing we do love is a hot tub. And so my wife and I will soak twice a day when we're at the property. And I just got out of ours here. Like, I love it. Like, it's a great tool. I go in it every single day. And I think it does make a difference. Like, just, even if it's just mental, right? Even if it's just relaxing. And I feel like my whole body's relaxing, whether it is or not. But the massaging and the heat really, really feels good.
Oh, dude, absolutely. Absolutely. To help relax the muscles.
I keep trying to get my my guy to prescribe it so that I could use my flexible benefits or something with my healthcare on it. All right, so tell us about your podcast, man. And you're 4 episodes, 5?
Let's see. I want to say I think I'm 3 episodes in. Okay. Well, three in an intro, so I guess you could call it 4 episodes.
I thought so. I was watching it before we got on tonight.
Yeah, so it's the Happily Ever Active podcast, where Disney magic meets health and wellness. Really, my goal is to inform everybody on how to have a pain-free theme parks vacation, but that can also jump into like cruising and flying and driving, anything to do with travel, but mostly Disney. I hope you saw what I did there.
I love it. I appreciate it.
But my goal is for you to have a pain-free vacation, so really you can enjoy those magical memories with your loved ones.
That's really cool. Now that I didn't think about, because so the walking I handle pretty well, but flying kills me. Like, sitting still with my back and shoulders is really bad. Like, it's interesting. So I do play golf. I hit golf balls today. That is really, again, finding your passion and doing it right. Like, I will hit golf balls 5 or 6 days a week. And I love that. I feel like my connective tissue stays loose. I really do enjoy it. And when you're on the range, look, you're not exerting yourself, but it's more so than playing golf where you sit down, ride, hit, you're hitting one after the other. So I can feel my, it's exercise. But, like in any meetings, because I do real estate, if I'm sitting down, I have to stand. Like, I have to get up. I cannot sit comfortably. So the same thing in a plane. 2 hours to Orlando and back's not bad, but anything else, kills me sitting on a plane. It's awful.
Yeah. I mean, let me tell you, I my wife and I just got back from California last night. We were in California for the weekend with our family, and that flight alone can be a lot. Doesn't matter how old you are, you just get stiff if you're sitting for that long. Ugh. So yeah.
My company before I went into real estate was in San Francisco, so I would fly back and forth on those red eyes, and I just
Hello, Lou.
Look who joined.
Hey.
Look who's on the podcast.
That's nice. There's a whole
Obi-Wan.
That's right.
Obi-Wan has joined us.
There's a lot of momentum going on here. See how we did? We can happily active, mostly Disney. And Rebecca says aisle seats are crucial.
So, oh my gosh, yes.
Absolutely.
I will tell you, and I know people knock it, I've been flying Spirit, but here's the tip, and I'm going to give it away, and if it stops working for me, it's okay. I buy the cheapest ticket I can, and then a couple days before, I bid on the big seats, and I have yet to miss it. So for instead of paying like $180 for basically a first class seat, I've paid between $40 and $60.
That's incredible.
And
What a
Lou says he's definitely on the aisle seats. Um, yeah, I just don't fit well on airplanes. I'm 6'3", and even though I've slimmed down over the last couple of years, it's just not fun flying. All right, so we got a podcast, and look, I made some things, so I should show them. And I love the Baymax logo. That makes me really happy. And then you have a book.
Yes.
Now, had you started that before Momentum, or was this since Momentum?
I started that before Momentum, but the actual, like the most momentum that I got was from Momentum to actually get the book done. So most of it was written before Momentum, and then Momentum was just the cherry on top to get it done.
It's so cool. And how about the course? And you have a course as well.
I do have a course. Yes, it's an online companion course to the book. So it goes through all of those same steps to physically prep for a Disney World trip, from that walking program like we talked about, how to listen to your body, when to take rest breaks and how to take rest breaks, how to plan a rest day if you're staying at the parks for at Disney World for a week or so, even like how to pack so that you're being a little more minimal and not packing too much, because let's face it, carrying your carry-on luggage into the overhead bin can be a real struggle if you packed a ton. But even carrying your check-in luggage into the bus or into the car can be a struggle too. So that adds up to your body. But packing, and then we also go over stretches that you can do to start your day, in the middle of the day, and then at the end of the day to recover. What I love about the course is it's got videos to show you exactly what to do, how to do it. But yeah, the course is great because it's basically like, you don't have to worry about reading. You can put it on and listen, and then you could put it on and listen while you're in the car or whenever you're doing chores or whatever, and then just learn what to do. So
wait,
yeah,
so it's an audio course?
It's an audio and video course.
Oh, cool. I didn't realize that is so smart. Yeah. Because that's the thing is, like, I mean, I wanted to make sure you didn't give too much away, right? Like, people should go and buy all of this. And I think I made a graphic if I can get to it. But again, I'm a little slow on some of the eCam stuff, so I'll figure it out along the way. But it's DPT, DisneyDPT.com, right? That's correct.
Mm-hmm. DisneyDPT.com. You got it.
I made a little graphic for that, and now I've lost it. This is how good I am at this. Yeah, and as Lou says, I want to do this for a living. I should. But I mean, and again, Lou doesn't always come by, but I will. He should know we do sit here and talk about him quite a bit. But the cool thing is that you aren't always able to listen, or you aren't always able to read. So to have, you really want the entire package, and everyone should go right now and subscribe to his podcast and like it, and then buy the book and join the course, and then you'll will be thrilled. Yeah, I'm with you. I actually was going to ask Andrew, because he mentioned, my wife and I were having this discussion earlier. So when our kids were little, we carried all kinds of gear in, right? We had backpacks. Sure. I had a giant camera bag with a giant DSLR. Now I just have my phone. So we have really, in fact, originally I wanted to call the podcast Guests Without Bags, because we pride ourselves on shooting through security. And that's really the secret, right? Is that. But look, if you've got kids and you're bringing snacks and you're bringing diapers, and I get all that. But what I'm trying to figure out, and I know there are going to be exceptions, but I'm trying to figure out the adults who bring backpacks in. Like, what do they have in there? Like, I guess you could sneak in some snacks or but you can get free water. And if you go on my social media, I do water fountain reviews, which is so silly.
They're pretty great, by the way. I love those reviews.
It was such a throwaway. It was like, oh my gosh, I've got this schedule. I said I'd post. What do I do now? And it's funny that a buddy of mine actually wants to make a map, and we can sell it, of water fountains in the park and reviews. But it was goofy. But I'm always wondering, what are these? And they have big, like they're going camping.
Oh, they're massive.
Backpacks. Oh, it's
so
huge.
I know, like, for us, I have, now that I record, I've got like a sling that's got my camera and the batteries and some tripods and stuff in it. My wife has another backpack that has a couple of books that she reads, like if we're waiting and she doesn't want to ride a ride or something like that. My daughter's has a lounge flight that she carries, but it's basically just like the essentials. Or I'm lost for words right now. Raincoats. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
if you go ride Tiana's, you get wet. We keep a towel in there, some snacks, but that's about it. But you see some people that have these massive rucksacks on their back, and I'm like, what is in there?
But see,
But
now
Yeah.
Rebecca may have it right. It's not for bringing things in;
oh, taking things out
it's for taking things out.
could be.
Because they don't, I don't think they do the back to your hotel room or even the
They
front of the
don't.
park anymore,
Nope.
which is a bummer because that was so much fun
Yeah.
to say. And then get back to your
I know over the
room, it was
winter,
waiting for you.
well, Florida winter, and it was a little chilly in the morning. We'd have sweatshirts and stuff. We'd put them in a backpack.
Mm-hmm.
But now that my youngest is 10, when she was 4, 5, 6 years old, we had the stroller and the diaper bag, and we got a separate whole get up for that. Now we don't really carry much, but I'm like, yeah, what's in those bags?
And see, we said her
It's got to
name
kill her back.
and she appeared. Stacy stopped by. If you haven't gone to her site, her YouTube channel, it's really really great. Which is a great segue, Stephen, into this. Orlando or California, which is your favorite part?
Oh man, I always a tough question to answer. So Disneyland was the first Disney theme park that I went to, so it's hard not to say Disneyland. It's homey, it's more quaint, it's the original. California Adventure is, man, it's on another level, but Disney World's just got so much. It, I can't.
It's apples and oranges, right? I mean, they're not even the same thing. Andrew hasn't
Really
been.
tough to answer that.
We're raising money to get him out there.
Yeah, we're raising money for me to go to Disneyland.
Right. If you'll go to GoFundMe.com and go to 8
Yeah.
Millions California Adventure. It was Disneyland was so special, right? Like going there and standing like that picture of Walt over the railroad tracks, and for me to just stand there, like I love touching history, right? Like I think we have a museum near us in Newport News, the Monarch and the Merrimack, the first ironclad ships, and the turret is right there. You can't touch it, but it's right there. So to go to Disneyland, and it's such a different park experience, right? Like the way it's set up is so different, and it was beautiful, and we had an amazing time. And then for me, because when we started going, Disney Hollywood had the big hat, right? It wasn't the
Mm-hmm.
Chinese theater, it was the hat. And so we
Mm-hmm.
missed the hat, even though everyone hates the hat. But for us, that's what we knew, So it'll always have a place in my heart, even if it makes sense to not have the hat. And it's the only thing, and I make sure I say it every episode, the only thing that I'm missing is that waterfall in the Polynesian. And Disney's made a huge mistake
I
in
will.
taking that out.
I will say, Lou asked a very good question. I thought about it on the way home in his In and Out segment. Do you want IP that is like Marvel driven, or do you look forward to IP that is based on its own criteria, like Everest or uh, um, Carousel of Progress? I was like, wow, I never thought of it like that before. But I think homegrown rides carry a lot more weight than predetermined IP.
But to be, and I didn't go to law school, although I fooled my wife and told her I was going to before we got married. And I did kind of want to. But the thing of it is it's we want both, right? Because I love Peter Pan. That
Right.
ride was so instrumental, in 1975 when I went there, and it's a must do every time we go. And yet Pirates, which became IP but originally wasn't, it was totally original,
Right.
or Haunted Mansion. I love all three of those absolutely equally. And so there is IP. You want that. You just don't want it to be all IP, right?
Right. That's why I was like, well, I like this, but then you turn around and you're like, well, I'm a big Spider-Man guy, so the Spider-Man stuff in Disneyland, I'd love to go see it. I'm like, well, kind of goes both ways, like a double-edged sword almost.
I'll
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sean, no, I was gonna totally agree with you, Sean, because California Adventure, it didn't have as much IP, 20, 25 years ago when it first opened. Now you've got Marvel, you've got Cars, you've got Pixar, you've got Baymax at San Francisco, it's almost all IP, and it's a little bit frustrating because I do miss the California aspect of Disney California Adventure. So
Right.
yeah, I'm with you 100%.
And that's how I feel about Epcot, right? I like what they're doing. I really do. I like the Frozen ride. I think Eisner was right. I think it does make sense to have IP. You have because so I did
Mhm.
some. I had an energy conservation company, and we did some work for Busch Gardens, and we toured backstage with some of the guys, and we treated motors and stuff. But one of the things that Augustus, or as we call him, Augie Busch, said, I'll never have the visitors that Walt has because I don't have the characters, but I'll make my park as beautiful as his, right? And that's
Mhm.
Busch Gardens has won a bunch of awards here in Williamsburg. But he's right. That IP, it doesn't make sense not to use it. What I wish is we still had some of the educational stuff. And I think they were talking, Becky and Lou, and they were talking about it on that In and Out. And I think, would Walt be happy? I think Lou's right. I think you're in and out on that, right? He'd be happy and sad. I think he would be
Mhm.
amazed at the technology. I think there's a lot he'd like, but I think he'd miss that city. And even though I think Disney has become, one of the, if not the top companies ever, top five, right, ever in existence. Um, I think he really wanted that sense of collaboration and that sense of American togetherness that Epcot as a city would have built. I guess that's a different show, but still, that's like I said, we wander off topic very 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 quickly here.
No,
So,
it's all good. This is great.
All right, so uh, okay, how about this for you, Steve? How about favorite Disney Springs restaurant as a local?
Favorite
mm,
Disney Springs restaurant. Does Jock Lindsay's count?
Yes,
yes.
absolutely.
Okay. I'm gonna put Jock Lindsay's up there right now. I absolutely love going there. I love the theming. I love looking at I love sitting at the corner in the back. Doesn't matter exactly which corner, as long as I'm in the corner in the back and I'm looking around, sipping on my beverage of choice. Man, that's like almost quintessential Disney for me if I'm at Disney Springs.
It's a really cool spot, and
Yeah, it's
that's
awesome.
that's the kind of theming, like whether it's IP or not, I don't care. But that's because here's a question for you: is the Haunted Mansion on the Treasure IP? So we had Haunted Mansion as an original ride, but has it become IP now? So would that be considered
Mm.
something original, or is it just an extension of IP?
Oof.
How do we define that? I don't know. But Jock Lindsay, I think all my friends went, and they'd never been, and they made a big mistake. We actually did go down, and they stayed in the bungalows, so they went all out at Polynesian, had a great time. They did not like Epcot as non Disney people. Um, they loved Guardians and they loved some other things, but what they really loved, and they own restaurants, they loved Disney Springs. And their question for me as a Disney nerd was, why doesn't everything look like this? And I'm like, well, because there's nostalgia. And then I started thinking
Mm.
about it. I'm like, why doesn't everything look like Disney Springs? Like Disney Springs
Mm.
has really elevated that Disney level. I mean, almost beyond the parks in some ways, right? Do you go there as a local?
To Disney Springs?
Yeah.
Not as often, just because it's so busy every time we go. It's almost busy every night of the week. So
So that's not where you would go see a movie.
no, no. In fact, I mean, to be fair, I don't go to the movies often either. I wait for it to be
Right.
available to stream.
Nothing wrong with
but
that.
but I mean, there are certain things that we always want to go to that are at Disney Springs. So like Salt and Straw, really hard to pass up, especially when they've got their seasonal flavors they just released. Um, going to the world of Disney is always fun to walk through. Like there's definitely certain things that I will go there for on a regular basis, just not as regular as I go to the parks.
I'm both mad and I love you for an honest answer. Because I've always wondered that. Like I've always looked around. Like you can tell who's on vacation, right? And then you can tell like the goofy vlogger with the camera. Like I get all those people. I was gonna say that Andrew earlier. I actually found a pair of shorts, and they're by a company called Cool, K umlaut U H L. They're out of Colorado. They're an outdoorsy hiking kind of company. but they make a pair of shorts that literally the Osmo Pocket 3 fits in perfect.
Really?
Oh my gosh,
Whoa.
it's unbelievable. So I just take it when I'm done with it, and it slides right into this extra little side pocket as though it was made for it. Because a lot of times when I go, I'm not alone, and so I'm trying to combine. Hey, I want to film everything, and then hey, I'm here with my kids, right, or my
Yeah, me
wife,
too.
or whatever. So I don't typically go and just film. Like, I'm really, because again, I don't make any money doing this yet, right? But so until it's a job, I've got to divide it up and make the most. But
Hmm.
those shorts are perfect. But I don't even like
I'll
having
look 'em
things
up.
in my pockets, much less a backpack. Just can't
I will
imagine.
say that sling I have, I got on Amazon. It's not too bad. It's got one big pocket on the side. It's got a couple of small pockets with the microphone and the spare battery and my headphones in there. But that's, it's not too terribly bad.
That
And then when I ride a ride, I just sling it to the front and it's good to go.
that
Yeah, that
Osmo is a
the
game
sling.
changer.
The sling is definitely the way to go. Although, Sean,
Yeah.
man, one of the biggest Disney hacks is to walk into the park without a bag. So props to you, dude.
Right. I
Yeah,
put
no
Seriously.
my I put
kidding.
my hands up like this out from my
Yep.
body with my battery and my camera, and I'm in. And I miss how reliant they were on Magic Bands for a long time. Like I liked the
Mhm.
tapping. I it's
Hmm.
hard to budget with, but I like not really having to have a wallet either. Like if I could go in with just the camera, I'd be
Yeah,
good.
put it on your
So
phone.
all right, Steven. So we know where to find you, Disney DPT, right? And I'm gonna
DisneyDPT.com.
put your
I'm
stuff
also on
back up.
Instagram. I'm also on Instagram at Disney.dpt. But if you go to my website, DisneyDPT.com, you'll find access to my book, my online course, and then I also do a blog every other week. So all useful tips on how to have a pain-free, soreness-free, exhaustion-free Disney and theme park experience.
And do you take walk-ins so when I come down next week, I can come by and take a look at
Working
things?
on that. I'm working on that. So there are plans in the works for exciting things in the future. So stay tuned. I don't want to give anything away.
There's got to be like an empty spot. Speaking of Disney Springs, where you could put up there, or look like Joffrey's, have a little kiosk outside on your on your way out. Stop by for a free evaluation.
There you go.
That's it.
Well, please check his podcast out because it really is good and filled with chalk things. And Steven is super, super smart. He's got lots of letters after and before his names. I'm surprised he didn't make me call him doctor because I would if I had to. Andrew, what you got going on, buddy?
I'm getting ready to post a video tonight after we get done. Like I said, I'll be down in April with my daughter. Going to film some with her. But got some car show stuff coming up soon. That season's starting to begin, so look out for a bunch of classic cars and Disney stuff on my page. But that's it. Mouse Gears, and you can find me at Facebook under my name and Instagram under my name. So all good.
Nice. And then I think I am but mostly Disney on everything. If you Google but mostly Disney, that's what pops up. And then if you head over to butmostly.disney.com, I am having some and Andrew, if you're still listening, I am getting your shirt and stickers out to you. The design, which I love, it's around somewhere. They won't print the shirts because of the word Disney. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do there. They'll print me samples. So I ordered one for Andrew. You can try ordering a shirt and see what happens. I got stickers. And I was thinking too about maybe starting a contest of if you find any kind of misspelling or Lori Oliveri texted me today and was like, hey, you put March 5th, but also said Tuesday. So I feel like I should give things away for people to help me correct that because I'm usually doing about 9 things at once and I don't get it all done. And speaking of Lori, I'm also MEI Mouse Fan Travel Advisor. So if you need a vacation planned, go to butmostlydisney.com and then at the bottom there's a link. It'll go to my website, or you can just text me or DM me, or any way you can find me. I'd be love to talk to you about your vacation. So I'm excited to do that. I haven't fully started advertising yet, so this is only the second time I've mentioned it. And Karen and Andrew, Caleb, Lou, thanks for stopping by. I'm sure you're off doing something else. Rebecca, thank you so much for coming by. I really appreciate it. Check out Caleb at Fantasyland Adventures. Karen is also doing travel, so check her out. But thanks. We were talking before the show. I think next week might be on Thursday because I'll be at Disney. So I may try to go live Monday or Tuesday night from Flower and Garden. So keep your notifications on. And thanks for watching. And Stephen, thank you so much for being so generous with your time. Really, really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, all. This was super fun.
It was
Super
a
fun.
blast. You add some credibility to our otherwise just Disney rambling. So I appreciate it. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have an amazing night, and we will see you next week.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.